Hello, good morning, and let me welcome all our listeners, both in Trinidad and Tobago and worldwide, to this, your regular Thursday morning program on radio and TV Jagriti on the subject matter of addiction and recovery. And let me say that I want to thank the team, Francis and Jason, and all who have been putting together the videos that lead up to this program. I want to let you know that they really are very concise, they're to the point, and they're very, very informative. I want to thank the staff at Jagriti for facilitating this, and I also want to thank Jason, who had been hosting the program, and to let our listeners know today's program is a little bit of an experiment where I'm hosting the program with the assistance of Francis, who is the operator. And I want to welcome all those people who are in the recovery program in Alcoholics Anonymous. I know they are all tuned in and listening to this program because today we have a special guest who is going to give us an insider's view, and that is Steve.G, who is currently the chairman of the Circle of Reflection online AA group. And he will tell you a little bit more about that group. But I want to say up front that you are not going to see a picture of Steve because the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous has a principle. It is rooted in their tradition in that their public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. That is to say, they do not show their face at the level of press, radio, and films. That is one of their traditions. And the reason for that, and I'm sure Steve will probably elaborate on it when he comes on, but as I understand it, it is because the integrity of Alcoholics Anonymous needs to be maintained. And from years of experience, alcoholism is a disease from which anyone can relapse. It doesn't matter how long you have been in recovery. It is always possible that you can relapse. So that if a person, for instance, came on television full face and showed, and that they are sober as a result of AA, and then the next thing they go and get drunk for some unforeseen reason, then they could bring the whole fellowship into disrepute because a lot of people are going to say, look, but I thought he was a member of AA and I thought he was sober, but look, he's drunk, and they will discredit the whole fellowship as a result. So that is one of the reasons. There are several other reasons. Of course, alcoholics has a tendency to want to brag and boast about everything. There's that big shotism, that ego-driven propositions all the time, and they would be only too happy to go and shout from the mountaintops, and go on TV and all of that to boast about this newfound freedom and happiness that they have found. And then, as I said, for some unforeseen reason, they can relapse, and that could be a problem. So that is the reason you will not be seeing Steve's full face. You'll be hearing his voice. And just to test, Steve, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Director. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good morning, and let me welcome you and thank you in advance for agreeing to come on TV and radio live. This program is carried every Thursday from 9 to 10, but it is also repeated in the same station at 10 p.m. in the night. For those who do not have it is not convenient for them to listen to the program or view the program at this time, and to let all our listeners know that the program is also being recorded and will be posted immediately after on YouTube and Facebook, so that you can go back and review it, and more so you can refer. There's a lot of people who know they have a problem, but they would rather not go to an AA meeting or let anyone know. Human beings, we like to solve things ourselves. We like to keep things confidential because alcoholism is a disease that has a social stigma attached to it. This is why they would rather go. And I know a lot of people have been going to the YouTube channel, and they are getting the information and they are reaching out and getting help. All you need to do is to type my name in, Ramnaresh Dwarika, and it will take you to where all the programs have been posted. So having said all of that, let me go over to Steve. Steve, again, welcome and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Dwarka. Thank you, everyone. Good day, good morning to all who's listening
Right.
in.
So Steve, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Circle of Reflection online AA group, how it started, and what it is doing, and how people can get in touch with you? Tell us
Sure,
about it.
sure, thanks. Um, the Circle of Reflection online AA group, obviously as the name reflects, it's an online AA group via the Zoom platform. We host meetings on a nightly basis, and our link to that meeting could be made available by you, Mr. Dwarka,
Right.
or via the phone number there.
Yeah.
But before I get into how to reach us, a bit of history. The recent pandemic, a lot of negative things came out of the pandemic. But when human beings face any sort of calamity, there is also some good factors that came out, and hence the online meetings. The fellowship that I belong to, and for all intents and purposes, I would refer to as the fellowship moving forward. The fellowship that I belong to, we were dependent on physical meetings, meeting in the physical. And that had, because of the pandemic, reason being there was no social interaction could have been available. So we sought, the advent of Zoom came, where online meeting became the only form where members could meet on a nightly basis or as often as possible. That was one of the pluses that was made available to us. In some instances, there are 24-hour meetings. So out of that negative became a positive. The resilience that I spoke of earlier, a group of members, including myself, decided at first we were holding meetings just because to keep the thing going, as they say. And then it blossomed into forming a group with basic structure. There's basic organization and basic structure just to have as anything should. And this group has been a group now for almost going on 1 year. And the positives of this group are that I have seen so far that keeps me coming back and keeps me so happy and so sober is that there's always been an influx of newer people, almost on a daily, on a nightly basis. There's always a new person willing to log in and help themselves and help others also. So there is that positive factor and there is that growing factor. This is early days for us at the Circular Reflection. Some of us have a lot of experience, but this is a new forum and the horizon is looking quite bright at the Circular Reflection. We continue to have meetings on a nightly basis, regardless of fear of fall weather, inclusive of holidays and stuff. We continue to do things throughout the day via the Zoom platform that is made available.
All right. So let me just say to our listening audience, Steve, that this is an interactive program, and if anyone has a question or comment, and even people who are in recovery, you're welcome to also join with us. There is two phone numbers on your screen: 643 um, 2335. I think you can see it. I'm not seeing it as clearly. And you can call the station, and we'll of course entertain your calls. In the meantime, Steve, I know that, from experience working in the field, that there's a lot of stigma associated with the recovery from alcoholism. As I said at the lead up to the program, a lot of people would like to solve this problem themselves. And this is especially so with women. It is bad enough for a man to be drunk and falling down and all of that. But in this society, that is kind of accepted. That comes with the territory when you're drinking. But it is still highly stigmatized for women to be having a problem with alcohol or drugs. And I know from visiting the groups and speaking, working in the field, that a lot of women and young people are now coming to the meetings because it is online. And because it is online, one does not have to show their face or even put their correct name. What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
E- Exactly so, Mr. Dorka. This again, this new format here has opened up so many avenues. And culturally, my opinion that culturally, alcoholism or abuse of alcohol is accepted in our society. I don't try to be an expert, that's your view, but my opinion and my experience has shown me that. And again, because of the stigmatized disease that alcoholism is, a lot of individuals don't even term it as a disease. Is not seen as an illness. So that within itself is a hurdle. But keeping on topic, this new format here has allowed, as you say, one does not even have to, there is not necessary that one can operate by aliases. And I have seen in my experience that that comfort or that security, that confidentiality, that anonymity has made it even easier or makes it even easier for women and younger people, professional people. We have members who come in as early as a couple of days ago. We have people who come in and they are quite comfortable with this format of having talking to a screen rather than seeing 40 or 50 people in front of you, because there is the stigmatized aspect of this disease, sadly so, that that this format has possibly broken down a lot of walls with regards to that.
So, Steve, let me just take a second and give a shout out to some of your friends. I see they are logging in. Glenn from South, and I know Sally is now tuned in, and there's so many others I'm seeing who are logging into the program. And so I'm saying, it's a good thing, that we are reaching so many people. And but tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, your own, as they call it, experience, strength, and hope. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to AA, and how has it been for you in this fellowship?
Sure, sure. First, let me to say good morning, and just on a lighter note, I would have told my friends that after this program, they would need to get their people to speak to my people after this program.
Right.
So yeah, morning, thanks friends for logging in. Yeah, I'm always quite happy to speak about myself. I've been a member of I've been sober for going almost 12 years now. And it having been introduced to the program 11 plus years ago, having been invited to a meeting, just a little bit of history. The last couple of years of my drinking were very dark. were very, very dark. It was not how it started years and years ago. It ended up being I ended up being in a very dark place, and probably didn't know or didn't want to know of any assistance out there. And I think that too within itself is another hindrance, not wanting to know. Maybe the information was available, I didn't care too much for it. But when I were introduced or when I was spoken to, in our terms, we call them messengers. We all are somewhat messengers. And that is what we're doing here. I myself am a messenger delivering a message. And when my messenger came and spoke to me, he spoke in a language. And that language is lightened or identified as the language of love. And that language of love, that is a different kind of love, and is a love that probably, possibly only one alcoholic could extend to another. And he planted a seed. And that seed that was planted was one of hope. A seed that continue to cultivate and grow and blossom even today. One of hope. And that's the soil in which that seed continues to grow, was planted in, is that I continue to give that hope to someone, give that love to someone who needs it. And that today is my driving factor. So I came in, I attended my meeting doubtfully at first, very skeptical, about what I would have met there. In fact, I was looking for doctors and lawyers, well, doctors, people in lab coats and stuff to work some magic on me. But the magic had already started. And I came and after some weeks, months, or some deep thought, I had to admit that I was suffering from this disease. I was able to identify, as we say, with some of the things. And that kept me coming back to find out more about myself. I had lost myself. Within all that drinking, I had lost myself. So what started as a social drink ended up being an almost fatal drink. I started off quite socially also, being able to refuse, being able to just have a few. And in the latter stages there, I would drink it to survive, drink it to live. I actually felt like I would die without the drink. So there was that aspect. I also, you know, jump forward. While I was growing up, I actually grew up. I became mature. There are a lot of areas in my life, alcohol or alcoholism stagnates one growth. So I became stagnant. I was aging, but I wasn't maturing. So the decision that I made and the conversation and even the people that I associated with, that would have not reflected it should have not reflected in the person that I was supposed to be. And all this time I had a family around me. I wasn't alone. So the disease, as they say, it radiates out. It encompasses all, and it harms all who is around us. One does not have to take a drink to suffer from the disease. So, I was going along my life merrily as I thought, not so. And then came this opportunity to probably try it. And I did that. And it would have been and continues to be one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. All it takes is one decision. Just one decision. Attend a meeting. Come join with us. Listen with us. Don't say anything. You don't have to. There are no questions asked here. There are no dues or fees. There's no cost. The cost is your time. The cost is your patience. And I assure you that it will be worth it. Anyone could be offered this opportunity to stay sober. No one just has to take that time to attend a meeting and find out. Plan that what if. Ask yourself that question. Probably. What if? Come and identify, as I said. And this life, I guarantee you, is second to none. A life without alcohol today, I am still alive and still living in the same society that I used to live before. Just now I'm on the negative, I'm on the positive side, having crossed over from the negative.
That's a very, very inspiring account you're giving there, Steve. And I have often on this program discussed many aspects of Alcoholics Anonymous. And even so, in my practice, I have been referring a lot of people after they come to see me to the fellowship. In fact, just after this program, I have a gentleman who is in his early stages of recovery. He is coming because, when you stop drinking, a lot of people go through withdrawal. Most of the time, a lot of patients will suffer with insomnia, sometimes depression, sometimes anxiety, because a lot of people have been using the drug to help them to cope with these conditions. They have been self-medicating, but these intervention methods will only be a stopgap insofar as the withdrawal is concerned. But recovery is a lifelong process. And this is why it is critical that members attend. What has been your experience in that regard, Steve? Why it is important for new people to keep coming to meetings. You want to share with us?
Sure. So, rightly so. As I refer to the fellowship as the fellowship, within that fellowship, there's a 12-step recovery program as the beginning of the 12 step were read out at the beginning of this program. And within the fellowship aspect, which is, gathering and being social, there's also the recovery process. And that recovery process simply entails that an experienced member, namely your sponsor, one acquires a sponsor, a guide to take them to the recovery program. And that sponsor would have also gone through the program with their sponsor. And this is just an individual who has that experience. And though anyone can abstain from alcohol, to truly recover, and that is what we have here on offer, recovery, to truly, truly recover from the mental and emotional and a lot of times the spiritual aspect, which is all part of the disease. There's the physical part, as anyone can see. And abstinence from the drink allows allow one to recover from that. There's also the ism, as we say, at the end of it, at the end of alcoholism, there's also the ism, and that ism has been dealt with, one continues to be dealt with through the recovery program, where one is guided through the various steps. And these steps are at the end of each one of them, or attached to each one, it's a spiritual principle.
Steve, we are talking to a lot of people out there who have no idea, what AA is about. And there's so much misconceptions I have found, out there, misunderstanding about a lot of things. When you say, like, for instance, a sponsor in the public out there, when you talk about a sponsor, a person thinks about, sponsorship of a steel band, that the sponsor will give you money or things like that. Or in some other organization, somebody has to sponsor you before you could become a member. But tell me a little bit more about sponsorship as it relates to AA. What is a sponsor? What does a sponsor do?
Right. So basically, the dues are according to our principle, our preamble, and the traditions that you referred to early on. There are no dues or fees here, so there's no cost to anything. There's no financial cost to anything. As that word sponsor could, it could raise some ears and it could some fears. The sponsor does this simply because it's our primary purpose. There is a primary purpose attached to this all, That is what we are doing here today, which you are allowing me via your program to carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous. Because if I were to achieve and keep it to myself, then selfishness would step in. So it allows me to grow in giving away. Alcoholics Anonymous or the fellowship is often referred to as a paradox.
Right.
One can give away to keep and so forth. So it's within that aspect that each time I give away what I would have learned, which is, for example, taking somebody, delivering the message, or taking somebody through the recovery program, I am actually taking out the insurance and my own sobriety. So I am benefited. So the benefits are there. May not just be in the financial aspect, but the benefits are there for both sponsor and sponsee.
Very good. In the fellowship, I know you have, of course, it is a fellowship. It used to be for men and women in the old days, but now they have changed the what is called the preamble and referred to the population as people, because there's no discrimination in AA. Now, I know in a lot of organizations, you have to kind of, you have organizations that has stipulations for qualification, like Pilots Association is only for pilots, the Chamber of Commerce is for the business people. And so you have various groups, you know, but in AA, I know, okay, for church, you have to belong to that congregation, is either a Hindu temple or Muslim to go to the mosque. But what are the stipulations for Alcoholics Anonymous as far as you're aware, Steve?
The stipulations is to become a member. It's a desire. As simple as a desire. One wishes to have a desire to stop drinking. That's it. You're a member when you say so. You're a member if you say so. There are no forms. There are no official. There is no addresses. There is no names. We're not interested in your names or your professionalism. We're not interested in that. That doesn't benefit us. That is to be left at the doors.
Right.
That is not important. We accept you just as you accept us as we are. The only requirement, as you say, for membership is a desire. And having said, you spoke about the preamble, one of the symptoms of the disease of alcoholism is change. Nothing fights change, in my experience and observation, as an alcoholic. An alcoholic is stuck in his ways, while active in the bottle, and more so, in my experience, not when we sober. So we had to fight change. We love to fight change, but change is inevitable. This format, as we spoke about, as we speaking on today, this format it would have been the negativity would have come out at the first. We became on the defensive if they use this, if it would have been allowed. And that still continues to today. There's a lot of members that still, that's still on the fence, as if this is the right thing, and the changing of the preamble also. But therein, we ourselves are the best example of change. So sometimes, we are the best messengers. So we fought the change of to allow the word from men and women to people, and we do. I think is a quite apt description of what the fellowship is. Actually, even a better description. We are inclusive of everyone, and that ties into what I am saying about membership. Simply having a desire, one can join at any time they wish.
So it doesn't matter what religion you belong to. It doesn't matter your age, your ethnicity, your gender, your social status. Even it doesn't really depend on how much you drank or you didn't drink, actually. What you're saying is once you realize you have a problem with alcohol and you have a desire to stop. In fact, I remember it used to be an honest desire, and they take out the word honest because they know that a lot of people who come to AA or even go for treatment, where I used to work, they don't come with an honest desire. A lot of them have to be pushed and dragged and threatened to go for treatment, as happens, you have all those people who are coming now to the fellowship, This is a new phenomenon, Steve. I'm seeing a lot of people going to the fellowship now who are referred from the judicial system. They were because of domestic violence or because of some crime associated with drug abuse. Sometimes people get into larceny and all of that to support their habit, appear before the magistrate, and then the probation officer might say, look, sir, underlying this problem is that the person has been suffering with addiction. So that basically this has a open door policy for anyone, to come, so that after this program, all of our brothers and sisters listening out there can choose at any time to there are physical meetings in Trinidad as well. Let me say this, and although I know we highlighted the Circle of Reflection AA group, which is an online meeting that started because of the COVID pandemic. But we are fortunate, Steve, and I know you are familiar with this, that we have the highest proliferation of AA groups per capita than any other country in the world. We have like well, it used to be almost 120 something active AA groups all over Trinidad. And I can tell you, where I live in Felicity here, we have 5 AA meetings for the week. So that is physical AA groups. There's one even in the farmlands, in the garden, that was started during the COVID epidemic that is still going strong. And there's 2 meetings at the Felicity Hindu School, one on a Friday evening at 7 and one on a Sunday evening at 6. And then there is one at the Presbyterian School, and that is, no, there's 2 at the Presbyterian School on a Saturday night and a Monday night, and there's the one in the farmlands on a Wednesday. I see we had a caller, but the person hung up. I want to ask them if they wish to call back and interact with us. They're quite welcome to do so. But so if a person listening to this program, Steve, decide they want help, what would you want to say to them?
Right. So before I answer that question, I just want to say that
Yeah, sure.
attending an AA meeting does not make you a member. It doesn't make you an alcoholic.
Right.
What we have, the type of meeting, or there are 2 types of meeting that we have in our available to us. We have open meetings, and the Circle of Reflection online.
All right, Steve, you want to pause? I
Yeah,
think we have a caller on the line. Let's take
sure,
the call.
sure.
Hello? Hello, caller. I know we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty. This being the first program, we are experimenting with um, some of the procedures. Are you still there, caller? Seems like we're having some difficulty getting on to the caller, Steve. So you may continue.
Okay, thanks. Hopefully the caller calls now. So as I was saying that, we have an open meeting where one can attend. Again, there is no questions asked. So there will be it's not in any official, or it's not any binding contract. It's an open meeting where we welcome families or friends, or what we call supporters of the alcoholic, to come in and find out about the disease of alcoholism, find out what goes on here. And as you said before, we are available. We have an open door policy. And within recent years, the courts would have also observed this, and they would have guided persons to us. And not everyone who attends an AA meeting is an alcoholic. There are different types. There's a different process, maybe too long to go through today. One really has to dig deep to answer that question themselves. But obviously, there are warning signs and red flags and things like that. One of the simplest things, or simplest yardsticks that I use, probably in answering your question too, that I use to determine, or the question that I ask is, have you had any blackouts? And that question of blackouts is usually misunderstood at first. A blackout is not a knockout. A blackout is not where you fall down. A blackout is in fact a period of time when one has been drinking, a period of time where one continues to function under the influence, continues to drive, continues to talk, continues to do everything, continues to drink, and is not able to really recollect the next day or the next a couple hours after.
All right,
I
Steve,
say,
you want to
yeah,
hold? I think
sure,
we're getting the call again.
sure.
Hello, caller.
Hi, good day.
Good day, sir.
You do.
Yeah, this is Glenn. How you all doing?
Good man.
Hey,
Good,
Glenn.
good.
I just want to congratulate you on the wonderful job you're doing.
Thank
You
you
know,
very much.
and that we share this wonderful message. And you all are doing an excellent job. I just have a request, if possible, and I'm trying to direct your show.
Sure.
For the benefit of the listening audience, why someone would want to stay sober. Right,
Right.
thank you for my contribution for today. Thank you. Have a wonderful program.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much for
Glenn.
calling, man, and supporting the program.
Thanks,
And
Glenn.
Steve, the question to you is, why would somebody want to stay sober? Very important question.
Okay, thanks for that, Glenn. We couldn't start with the easy stuff. Why would someone stay sober? Why would I want to stay sober? The benefits of sobriety, a peace of mind, serenity, as we like to describe it. The serenity that I enjoy now is right up there with my sobriety. Is a direct result of sobriety. Today I have found myself to be a good contributor member of society. I spend a lot of time in thought. I spend a lot of time in helping others, thinking of others. Spend a lot of time in connection with my higher power. And if the opportunity presents itself, I will dive into a little bit higher power. But basically, it feels good. That warm feeling inside. You know, that warm feeling inside. That knowledge that today I will not go back into that dark hole.
If you
And
had to compare, Steve, if you had
Mhm.
to compare your a drinking day with today, what would be your assessment of it?
There is no comparison. There will be, even when there were back in the days, as I try to recall while speaking to you, of the best, the most happy, joyous occasion under alcohol. Eventually, it came into the disease aspect. So there is no comparison. Today, this life that I've been offered through the fellowship that I belong to, and with the support of others, you know, today is a day that I count as a useful one. These days I count. These days count.
So, Steve, I mean, you are currently the chairman of the Circle of Reflection online AA group. And if you have to speak to our audience out there, people who might be hesitating in their mind, to whether to join this group or to come online, um, what are some of the requirements? What would you want to what they'll have to do if they want to to benefit from coming to AA or joining the online meeting? What are some of the things they have to do?
As simple as logging in, but it's much deeper than that. You know, some of the benefits that actually is the process to log in,
Right.
whatever the process is that Zoom requires. But it is much deeper than that. You know, on offer at the Circle of Reflection, within recent times especially, it's more a family aspect. And you know that aspect has been birthed because of the members involved. I've found within recent times that there's something that we call the after meeting, where a few members stay back, a few experienced members stay back with the newer ones as early as 1 or 2 days, both male, female. And strangely enough, Mr. Dwarka, we have members of Circle of Reflection who are also international. They live abroad. But because of the benefits that this format offers, that Zoom offers, they are full-fledged members of our group. So there's a different cultural mix there. But also, within the meetings, after the meeting, which sometimes exceeds the time of the actual meetings, one gets to know the individual. There's that one-on-one, there's that hands-on aspect. So if I were to in to invite anybody, I just log in and come, and here again, the only requirement is a desire. That is all. That is only requirements, a desire.
All right. So let me say this. I know we're coming up on time. We just have about 2 or 3 minutes left. Basically, all you have to have is a smartphone. You have internet, and you download the Zoom app, and you can call me if you need any assistance with that at 671-3040. I'd be only too happy to guide you in the process. You can join the group. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to get anybody to recommend you or anything like that. All you have to have is, as Steve say, a desire to do something about your drinking. Even if you're not sure whether you have a problem with alcohol or drugs, you can still log in. And I think we have another caller. If we could just take this one in before we wrap up. Yes, caller. Hello.
Yes, morning, Mr. Dwaraka.
Morning, sir.
Caller from La Romaine.
Yes, man.
I tried earlier on, but I didn't get through. But it's a privilege to be speaking to you on this program. I look forward to this program every Thursday.
Yes.
And I'd just like to say that I'll be observing my 45th year of sobriety.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Congrats.
On the 28th of February this year.
Very good.
I have one regret.
Yeah.
My sobriety. And that is, and I would share it publicly, that I have never attended an AA meeting. But I hope to do that this year in order to observe my 45th year of sobriety.
All right. Very good, man. It will give you an opportunity to also share with others and help others as well, So I want to thank you for calling.
I will follow up on your advice about attending meetings. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you again. And yes, Steve, we have come to the end. And I want to ask, though, would you be available in future to come back and join us again and share your thoughts?
Gratefully so. Gladly so.
Right.
I will always be able to happen.
Yes, so I want to thank the staff as well, Francis and Jason and all the people, Bhima, and the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha for giving, they give this airtime free. This is very, very valuable, very expensive airtime that they could have been earning a lot of revenue with. And they give it as a public service for not only the East Indian community. I can tell you that this program reaches every ethnicity, not only in Trinidad and Tobago. I have called from all the way in the United States, as far away as India. And then there are a lot of people now who is following on YouTube, as indeed the program will be posted at the end. And anyone has any questions or comments, they can raise it there as well. But I want to thank Steve again for being with us this morning, and thank Radio and TV Jagriti. Thank all of you for listening.